Hello, everyone, and welcome to, I can't even say this morning or afternoon, the one that spans the morning afternoon, session 2 on Tuesday, the 6th of July. As always, myself and Marika are here, so if you've been watching previous sessions, you'll know that we're trying to host it as best we can. And we're particularly excited about this session because we are all focused on apprenticeships. Now, some of you may know what apprenticeships are. Hopefully at the end of the session, you'll really know what they are. But some of you may not know that apprenticeships are an option that you could have a look at. So some of you might end up going GCSEs, A-levels, university. Others of you might go straight into work. But apprenticeship is this wonderful option where you can work and learn at the same time. But we've got some great speakers to give it much more detail than I have. So I'm really, really pleased to, first of all, bring on Dexter. So, welcome, Dexter. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. And so I'm aware of Dexter's work on a podcast that him and Dexter, I forget who you do the podcast
So Molly, who's a Google apprentice.
There we go.
Well, ex-Google apprentice now.
Yeah, so yourself and Molly have got this podcast, and you're also on Instagram and TikTok as well, I think, sort of sharing advice about apprenticeships. Rather embarrassingly, I've just been informed by Dexter that he was also a student at the school I taught at. So, exciting moment for me that I'm recovering from too. I gave a really poor description of apprenticeships. So Dexter, if I pass over to you to give a bit of an introduction to yourself and let us know kind of what your experience of apprenticeships were.
Yeah, of course, happily.
Over to you.
Yeah, sure. So as Ben said, I'm Dexter and I am 22 and I'm completing an apprenticeship. So where did that journey start? So I was at a school doing my GCSEs, done quite well. And then I went on to do my A-levels, which I couldn't stand doing. Just didn't really work for me. So I've been working from the age of 14. So doing numerous different jobs, from working in a stables, a fish and chip shop, on a farm. And I've always loved working. So when I wasn't doing too great at school, I kind of thought, right, what can I do now where I can go into the place of work and kind of learn some skills on the job? So I was looking at apprenticeships and I came across an apprenticeship with the Edge Foundation doing digital marketing. So I joined there when I was 17 and it was basically the perfect place for me. So what does this consist of? So I work with the Edge Foundation 4 days a week. And then 1 day a week, I'll be doing my off-the-job training, which was with a training provider whilst I was doing my level 3 digital marketing course. So that is the equivalent of A-levels. So when I left sixth form, I went to this level 3, which is the equivalent of A-levels. So it's the same as 3 A-levels, essentially. So I done that for a year, passed it, and then I stayed working with the Edge Foundation for another year. And it was at this point I kind of thought, right, I want to develop more now. What can I do? And that's when I asked my employer, Edge, if I could do a degree apprenticeship. So from there, I applied for the degree apprenticeship, which is the equivalent of obviously a standard university degree. So I'm doing that with London South Bank, which is also digital marketing. And yeah, I've been doing that for just over 2 years now. So at the end of this year, I'm on track to pass. So I should get my degree at the end of this year. And by that point, I'll be fully qualified as if I'd gone down the A-levels and degree route. But obviously, the benefits of doing the apprenticeship, I'll have 5 years experience as well, which is, to me, one of the key things that I kind of see as a standout for apprenticeships. To move on to... Oh, sorry, Ben, go on.
I was going to jump in with a question. So do you think apprenticeships is for a particular, like, for the students watching... is it for a particular type of student with a particular skill set, or are there options for all sorts of different students?
Yeah, not at all. So I think before, my kind of perception of apprenticeships was it's very much trade roles. So I think we're taught that for boys it's plumbing and construction, and for girls it's hairdressing, and that couldn't be further from the truth, really. So obviously I'm doing digital marketing, but you can go all different types of things. So I know solicitors, I know people that work at ITV, BBC, obviously PWC, who you hear from, and Google. So there's massive companies that are offering apprenticeships and across a broad kind of range of different roles as well. So, I mean, regardless of where you are in life, there's definitely something for everyone, I think.
Yeah, and obviously we'll be sharing links and ways to get involved. And I would obviously we'll put in the links to the podcast and all your output on that yourself and Molly do with regards to apprenticeships, because there's loads of good advice on there as well, having obviously been through it yourselves.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely.
So you talked a bit about your previously work, but you just want to pick up on a few more of the things that you've been doing as well.
Yeah, of course. So obviously, just going back to working from 14, what did that kind of teach me? How did that get me to where I am today? I think that, when you're working at 14, you kind of think you're doing all the little jobs, and you think, oh, I'm not really learning anything, but couldn't be further from the truth. Like just the confidence that you build working at a young age, some of the skills that you pick up along the way are crucial, and it's just something to talk about in interviews as well. So it really helped me stand out, I think. Obviously, getting the apprenticeship at 17 was a massive boost of confidence as well. I've never really been into public speaking, but here I am now. And along the way, I've done quite a lot of public speaking as well, which I really kind of credit to my apprenticeship, and the opportunities that I've had from that. So obviously, I kind of, as it says on the bottom of that slide there, I've kind of grown a passion for apprenticeships and making sure that other young people are aware of them. And from that, I've obviously started my own organisation, so the Apprentice Voice and Your Future Forward, which is the podcast. But I've also been around schools. I've been working with the army and other large employers to kind of show the benefits of apprenticeships as well. So I've had kind of different experiences than I would have had if I went to university that have kind of helped me build my CV, given me things to talk about, and hopefully will help me stand out in the future when I go on to a next place to work. So kind of just looking at the key skills that are essential for my role in industry. I don't think these are actually just for my industry. I think these span across the board. So communication is massive. So especially when you join a company at a young age, there's going to be things that you don't know. There's going to be things that you want to learn. And the key to that is communication. So being able to say, actually, I don't know this, I want to know about this is really important. And knowing how to communicate, but also to listen as well. So communication is two-way. So listen, talk, it's all part of that. But yeah, I think that's really key when you're joining a workplace at such a young age. And then obviously when you're learning, that desire and willingness to learn. So you're not going to know everything, but if you want to learn it, it's there for the taking, basically. So I think it was really key for me that when I joined the place of work, that I was showing that desire, trying to learn from everyone I could, and then also just not taking no for an answer. So at that stage where I'd kind of finished my first apprenticeship, I then showed the willingness to go on and do further education as well. So that's when I then got into my degree apprenticeship. And then the final one is adaptability. So I think no one's got a job for life anymore. We see in the world of work that, you can go on and do many different things. So most of you won't have one job. So that kind of key skill of being able to adapt is really important. So being able to take the skills that you've got in one job and take them onto a next place is really important.
Cool. Dexter, can I jump in and just ask, so going back to when you were like 16, 17 and you started your journey on apprenticeship, what was it like in terms of the work element? Because obviously often we hear like students may go off, do work experience and are given just like the really boring or like low grade kind of jobs to do. Was it like that at the beginning of your work element of the work experience, or did the company that you went to work for take you seriously from the get-go?
Oh yeah, it wasn't like that at all. I was chucked right in the deep end. I remember my very first day, we had a work fair, and that we went to, and it was like a massive conference with thousands of people. And they had me working there, like man in the stand with my manager, doing speeches to people and so on, and talking about my transition and so on. And that was on the very first day. And then the second week, I was traveling around the UK with my manager again, doing different jobs, and then kind of learning all about the organization and picking up some of the key things. I think for me, it was this, I worked for a really small company. So when I joined, there was about 10 or 12 people, I think. And in my team, it was just me and my manager. And I think this is something that I've always been quite keen to share, is that a lot of the time we talk about the opportunities at these really large organizations that young people are aware of, the Googles, the PWCs, who you'll hear from later. But I think for me, it was really important that actually what I was learning was just as valuable. And I think that sometimes we see a small employer and we think, oh, I don't know who they are, I don't want to work for them. But actually just take the time to really look into an organization, because I looked into the Edge Foundation and I found that it was actually the perfect fit for me. And what they stood for was very similar to my values, which is something, again, I'm really keen to make sure that young people are looking into, because I think when we're asked that question of what do you want to be when you're older, many young people don't really know. And I think it's such a horrible question because it puts so much pressure on young people. But instead, think about like, who do you want to be when you're older? So like what values do you have, what kind of person do you want to be, what do you want to learn, what do you want to take forward, like what do you want your legacy to be, really, like what do you want people to think, oh, Dexter, I remember him for doing this, I remember he spoke at the online careers fair, he helped me find my apprenticeship. And that's the kind of thing that I found that I actually really like. So it's not about the money that I thought it would be when I was 16 and you think, oh, I just want to earn as much money as I can. And actually what you actually really learn is that there's so much more to that in life, and that if you can really stay true to your values, that's when you'll really love the work that you do.
I think for the students sitting watching this in a classroom with their workbooks, the quote there around, well, I know I've done it at like a family event where younger sort of cousins and various things come along and you ask them what they want to be when they grow up. Let's change that question to, it was, what type of person do you want to be, or what do you value? I know there's a guy called Jamie Cassap who used to be at Google who tried to change that from not what do you want to be, but what problem do you want to solve when you grow up? And I think that's a really important bit. So if we can encourage all the young people when you get asked that question next.
Definitely. And as you say, like, what problem do you want to solve? So I think for me, I found some problems and I set up organizations myself. But seeing those problems and thinking, you know what, someone needs to solve that problem. Can that person be me? Obviously, I don't do it alone. I work with a brilliant team of apprentices that have also helped me out along the way. And between us, we've really found a niche that we think we can kind of help young people and other employers as well. So we're now working with employers to help create more opportunities and make sure that the opportunities that are available are of really high quality as well.
Because, I mean, it sounds like through this apprenticeship approach, you seem to have achieved quite a lot in you know, you're still relatively young, making me feel old. But out of all of that so far, what's kind of the proudest moment you've had?
Yeah, so obviously, as I was saying, I've been involved with quite a few speeches, and I was lucky enough to be invited to the National Apprenticeship Awards to give the keynote speech. So that was a 20-minute speech in front of 850 people. And that was with George Clark, who does the Amazing Spaces program, who was amazing. I mean, I met him on the day, and he was the nicest person ever. He was just like joking around with me, really making me feel like comfortable in the venue, and just giving me a really good introduction, welcomed me on stage and everything. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the scariest moments of my life. I was dreading that for months leading up to it. But I got there and everyone was so supportive. And I think it's another thing that I've kind of learned along the way, is that I think as people, we always doubt ourselves, but no one wants you to fail. Everyone wants you to do really well. So I think just remember that along your journey.
Great advice. And it's nice to know that the faces of TV are supportive as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was an apprentice himself along the journey. So yeah, he was very friendly. I think he still follows me on Instagram, which is like my claim to fame now.
Feel free to point out me too at some point.
Yeah.
So if we kind of, there's loads we could get into, but we've got obviously some other guests to speak to as well. You put a few ideas in here, but if you're speaking to your teenage self back at school, like maybe age 16 before you go into your A-levels, what would you tell him?
Yeah, so I think it is a lot about this, like finding out your values, not thinking too much about the future, really. So not too much thinking about what do I want to be when I'm older, because I think for me that was what really put pressure on me. And I had a really big struggle with mental health for about 18 months, where I was in that transition period where I felt kind of a little bit lost at sixth form, kind of labelled as a failure. But obviously, everyone's different and we all learn in very different ways. And I think that sometimes it takes a little bit of time to find that. And it's very quick to doubt yourself and kind of think, oh no, I'm not doing well. But step back, take a time, take the breather, and kind of just look into your options. So this is why I'm so keen on sharing like kind of advice about apprenticeships, because I do think that for some people they will be the perfect route, and obviously they kickstarted my career.
I think it's so important as well. Like, thank you for sharing your own challenges along the way, because for the young people watching, they might be going through that. They might have similar challenges as well, and the more people like yourself that can get in front of them and talk about it might help them navigate it a little bit more easily than you did, and realize there's other options out there. So I think really valuable. And for the students with your workbooks and kind of reflecting on this, for those of you just watching it off your own back, there's a few real useful tips to take away. And I think where sometimes apprenticeships don't get enough coverage in schools, some great information for you to have a think about. So, Dexter, we'd love to bring you back towards the end just to sort of pick up any questions that we've had come in the meantime. But thank you so much for sharing. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. And I'm sure there's going to be lots of good questions for you towards the end if you're okay.
No, thanks for having me, and I look forward to talking later.
Oh, cheers. Thanks so much, Dexter. Okay, really great starting point from Dexter, who's been through that apprenticeship route. So what we want to do now is talk to a few organisations that have apprenticeship schemes. And we're going to start with Akeem from Multiverse, who's going to talk to us. Welcome, Akeem.
Morning, everyone.
Cool. So I'll just pass straight over to you, really, to talk about yourself, Multiverse, and obviously in the context of apprenticeships. So once you're ready, feel free to switch over to your slides and I'll put them up so everyone can have a look as well.
Can everybody see?
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Perfect.
So morning, everyone. So quick introduction into me and what I do at Multiverse. My name's Akeem. I lead our outreach programs at Multiverse. And what that means is how we reach young people and how we provide them with an alternative to university through apprenticeships. So at Multiverse, we have a social mission to create a diverse group of future leaders by building that outstanding alternative to university and corporate training. So a highlight at the end, corporate training and university. One of the biggest myths I've come across is that apprenticeships are solely for young people. And that's just not true. We have two groups of people we target. We target young adults, which are young people like yourselves, and established professionals who later go on in their career to do an apprenticeship to upskill. Our vision at Multiverse is to democratize access to the best career opportunities. So historically, it's been known that people who go to the top universities or to Russell Group universities end up getting the best jobs. And it doesn't per se kind of highlight their quality. So we believe that everyone should have access to that. There's a saying that talent is equally distributed, but opportunities aren't. So we're very much making sure that we are making sure that those opportunities are equally distributed to all young people. So how we achieve this, we have a three-streamed approach to this. So one, we support you as young adults in talent. We call it talent support. So what that means is that every young person who's come to us, they get a dedicated talent manager who supports them throughout the recruitment cycle until they reach their apprenticeship. The second part is very much making sure that you gain that recognized qualification. So we are also an apprenticeship provider. So we provide you with the qualification, and you will be provided with a tutor, or what we like to call a coach, who coaches you throughout the entire process and make sure that you achieve that qualification. And lastly, we have a community aspect. So one of the big things we're trying to do, like I mentioned, is build this outstanding alternative to university. And going off to university does bring an element of community, of that social network. So we only feel it's fair for our apprentices to still have that same experience. So just to kind of reiterate everything Dexter's mentioned about what an apprenticeship is, our definition at Multiverse is that apprenticeship allows you as a young person to access or kickstart your career, learn some new relevant great skills and apply them within your working environment. At Multiverse, for the vast majority of our programs, they last from around 15 to 18 months. A great thing about apprenticeship is that there's allocated time for you to actually study and build those skills. So we call it 20% off the job training. It's not a regulation or something we stipulate at Multiverse. Is actually something that the government stipulates. In order to be a successful apprentice, you must spend 20% of the time gaining those skills. Applied learning is very much what it says on the tin. So using those skills you learn within the environment and applying that to your qualification. So moving down, qualifications, something that often does get kind of confused is what qualification will you receive at the end of your apprenticeship? Will you receive an NVQ? Will you receive a BTEC? You might receive some of those dependent on the program, but something all apprentices do receive is a qualification known as the Apprenticeship Standard. And the Apprenticeship Standard is particularly good because it's built by industry experts. For example, software engineering apprenticeship standard will be built by software engineers, developers within that field. So they build the key skills and behaviors of a software engineer into that vocational qualification. And on top of that, you might get an additional a qualification. So if you're doing a degree apprenticeship, you will still get your undergraduate degree. A really kind of draw point to most young people is the salary. So the national average for apprenticeships at the moment is around £10,000 to £12,000, which isn't a lot. So we believe at Multiverse, we only work with employers who pay the minimum of around £16,000 all the way up to £24,000. So very respectable wage. And to end off, like I mentioned, you have that dedicated coach who guides you throughout your entire apprenticeship at Multiverse. So another kind of misconception that was held, that is held generally, is that apprenticeships are a much more easier pathway to success. And I think Dexter and other apprentices can kind of bring testament to that. That's not true. Doing an apprenticeship is a full-time role, and you're also studying full-time. And one of the key things in order to be successful is very much having good time management. And the reason why we say it's not we believe it's not any difficult is because there are different levels to it. So you can still go off and get that degree. You can do a degree apprenticeship, and those are from a level 4, 5, and 6. A high apprenticeship, by the way, is equivalent to a foundation degree, whereas advanced, a level 3, which is equivalent to A levels, and a level 2 equivalent to GCSEs. And it's very much able to be accessible to all young people at different levels. So why are we different at Multiverse? So we operate on something called smart matching. So we have a bespoke platform which allows you as a young person to more or less introduce yourself and apply for apprenticeships. We don't believe in CVs. The reason we don't believe in CVs is that at the age of 17, 18, or even 19, there's only so much experience you could have that would really bring light to your qualities. So our digital profile consists of a 90-second clip of yourself speaking basically to our network of employers, introducing yourself and saying why you feel like you'd be best suited to an apprenticeship. And from there, like I mentioned at the beginning, you will be allocated a talent manager who will support you throughout the entire recruitment cycle. I'm from Multiverse, and this is quite biased of me saying this, but we do have incredible content. The reason why I believe that is that we work with world-class content providers. So General Assembly and the Association of Project Managers, just to name a few, contribute to the qualification being built. Our coaches are industry experts. So if you're doing a software engineering apprenticeship, the coach will have been a previous software engineer working at a company. So someone who actually has had that experience working within that field. And like I mentioned before, the social network. So we obviously have this aim to create the best social experience to rival the best universities. And in a non-COVID world, that would have been anything from equivalents to Freshers' Week parties, networking events, football teams, book clubs, making sure that you don't miss out on that community experience. Just got a quick clip here, and it's a testimonial from a few of our apprentices about their time within the Multiverse community.
Welcome to the Multiverse community, a powerful network of thousands of apprentices. We exist to inspire and empower apprentices to create their future and support members in achieving their ambitious goals through cutting-edge events and content, career development and mentoring opportunities, and the chance to build connections that will last a lifetime.
So the most important thing the community did for me was give me that sense of confidence that, hey, you know what, this isn't so crazy. There's many other people doing it. And second of all, it gave me something that I think I can take even beyond my apprenticeship, and is that confidence to be able to walk my own path and figure out what I want to do for myself.
Multiverse community members are united by the belief that we go further together. Every member's unique knowledge, perspective, and support elevates our collective success.
The community as a whole has that inspiring feeling where you want to get involved and you want to support other apprentices, even if it's just by attending an event that another apprentice has organised, we're all there to support one another, and we're all there to help each other grow and learn. So I definitely encourage you, if you're considering it, to get more involved with the community and sign up to some of the events, sign up to some of the initiatives that are going, because you won't regret it.
So our application process consists, like I mentioned, of creating that profile. And once you create a profile, you then will receive a call from one of my colleagues at Multiverse, and you will be assessed on the 5 core competencies on the side. And it's really important to understand that whether you're applying for an apprenticeship with Multiverse or with another kind of company, these are 5 core competencies that most employers do look for. So first being grit and determination. So when we work with young people, what we want to see is an example maybe of when you've had to work with someone in a group and it's been really tough, but you overcame this really difficult situation and you managed to achieve the originally set goal. Secondly, interpersonal skills. What we measure is how well do you interact with other people. And thirdly, conscientiousness. So what techniques do you put in place to ensure success? So maybe you were predicted a B at the beginning of the year and you knew well that you could get an A. So maybe you put a strategy and you revised every Saturday for a couple of months and you achieved an A. That shows great conscientiousness to us. Problem solving is very much what it says on the tin. So coming up with those creative solutions to solve the problem at hand. And fifth, and probably the most important one, is intent. What we want to see is commitment from a young person. And surely all employers do want to see someone who's motivated and has that commitment to the role that they're applying for. Obviously, being able to show those 5 core competencies, you then get invited for a kickoff day, and that's a chance for you to meet us at Multiverse and ask us any questions. And from there, we then share your profile to our network of employers, and you then get our talent support, attend our interviews, and from there, you're able to start your apprenticeship. So like I mentioned, we're very socially driven. So one of the things we are trying to do at Multiverse is address current and future skills gap. So very much within the tech sector. So qualifications like digital marketing, data science, software engineering, project management, and business operations. I mentioned earlier on having that apprenticeship standard, but you will also get accompanying accreditation. So if you're doing a project management qualification, you will become a member of the Association of Project Managers. For our business operations, the Chartered Institute of Management, General Assembly for our data science and our digital marketing, and New College of Humanities, they deliver our degree apprenticeships in data science. So you will get a degree as well. Just another quick video.
My name is Sean. I'm doing an IT apprenticeship at Deliveroo. My mind's always been set on apprenticeships from a young, early age. When you have a lot of friends who go to university, stuff like that, I thought, let me just try something new and see how far it'll get me. Knowing that you can actually apply your theory into the practical real world. Been shown it a few times, maybe once or twice, and then try doing it myself. And if I get a step wrong, do it again. And being in a workplace, you're allowed to do that. I feel that for me, learning theory whilst actually doing it at the same time in a workplace will definitely push me through and get me to where I would like to be. Out of all the apprenticeship schemes I tried to do while after college, if I had one, was definitely the best in terms of digital profile, the course straight after, talking me step by step of how it's going to be. I was overwhelmed at first, thinking, what's going on? Like, huge company, props to me for getting in first of all, and then just trying to see how can I fit into the big company. But when I went in, I realized it's such a nice culture in Deliveroo. People are so nice and friendly. Ease into it will teach you things. We don't expect you to know everything. I've definitely developed in terms of my confidence. So stuff like this is something I actually want to be doing. It's my comfort zone. Even now, I'm still developing, still not as crisp as I like to be, but I've definitely come out of my shell and just feel confident to talk to anyone, really. My name is Sean.
So just to end off, we work with a range of different companies. Dexter mentioned earlier on an apprentice he worked with to create his organization, Molly. She was one of our apprentices, and she worked at Google, Facebook, TransferWise. We just work with a range of different companies. So there's always opportunities. Current opportunities at present, we have roles at Octopus, Teach First, Group N, and we also have a software engineering boot camp, and the applications go live tomorrow, so it's worth definitely checking out. And thank you so much. And if you have any questions, do get in touch with us at outreach@multiverse.io.
Thank you so much, Akeem. That was really, really useful. And I know we've been encouraging the students to take a note of obviously getting in touch with Multiverse. And I think you've really, really shown the opportunities that are available. And I think it was also very, I think it showed your values when you talked about the requirement for the wage of the companies you work with. I think that will be appreciated by the students as well, to know that you've got their backs on that one as well. Awesome. So thank you, Akeem. Obviously, we've put a link to Multiverse in the comments if anyone wants to jump in there. If you've got any questions for Akeem, then please drop them in the comments and we'll put them to Akeem and the whole panel at the end. So thanks again, Akeem, for your time. Really appreciate it. I wish I'd known about apprenticeships.
So do I.
Yeah. So if I could go back and talk to my teenage self, apprenticeships is probably the bit I'd be saying. So in your workbooks, did you know about apprenticeships? Did you know they existed? Or did you think they were maybe not as wide-ranging as they are? So you've now heard from Multiverse and Google. And we're now going to introduce you to Naomi from PricewaterhouseCoopers, PWC. So welcome, Naomi. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So I'll let you talk about, obviously, yourself, PWC as an organisation, and then obviously you're going to jump into specifically apprenticeships. So over to you, and I'll bring your slides in as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Naomi.
Perfect. Thank you. So, hi everyone. Just to introduce myself quickly, my name's Naomi Challens, and I am the Technology Degree Apprenticeship Programme Manager at PWC. And I'm based in the Newcastle office, but travel nationally around the UK. So, I'm just here to talk a little bit about PWC and all of the different opportunities that we have available to you once you finish school and college. So, first of all, I just want to touch on who are PWC and what do we do? Because we don't sell a product. You can't kind of go to the shop and buy a PWC product because we are behind a lot of big businesses. We advise our clients, lots of organizations from big public and private sector clients to individuals, and help them solve their important problems. So just wanted to move on to the next slide just to kind of give you a bit of an overview of who PWC are. So we are a very large professional services firm. We have over 20,000 employees in the UK and over 280,000 across the world in over 150 countries, which means if you are interested in traveling in your career, PWC is certainly one you should have on your radar. As I mentioned, we work with over 25,000 different clients, which means that you will always be working on different variety of work, different clients, which keeps it really exciting as well. And because of that, we are one of the UK's largest recruiters of school and college leavers and undergraduates and graduates as well, which means we have a really great development plan and apprenticeships in place that hopefully might take of interest to you. So, as I mentioned, we don't sell a product. What we do is help our clients solve important problems by giving them advice. And because of that, we are able to help improve productivity and growth across the economy, across the UK and across the world, as we have offices all around the world as well. So what types of jobs could you work in at PwC? You know, I've talked about all this, but what does it actually mean in practice? So it means that we deliver value to our clients and hope to empower our people as well. So you'll see on the right hand side of the screen, you can see these are all the different business areas that you can join at PwC. So if you want to be an accountant, you can join our audit team, or if you're interested in being a solicitor, legal. We also have things like technology. So if you want to work in AI and virtual reality or data and analytics, and also things like risk assurance and deals, so mergers and acquisitions. So lots of different areas. And I know we are very tight for time. So if you are interested, look on PWC's website, and it will go into lots more information about all of these different lines of service. But what I wanted to talk to you today is about our opportunities that are available to you once you've finished your A levels or your BTEC once you've finished college. So, just on this next slide, you can see whether you can apply for a graduate role, an apprentice, or one of our Flying Start degrees, and where this links in to all of them different lines of service that I've just been talking about. So, what I'm going to do now is move on to the next slide and just break that down into the three kind of key areas that I'm going to talk around today, which is our school and college leaver programs, which is our apprentices, our Flying Start degree programs as well. And then, if you think I want to go to university and then join the career world after that, we'll also talk about them opportunities very quickly as well. But I think this slide summarizes it really well how you can join PWC. So if you are in year 12, you can apply to do our week-long work experience. And we actually have our year 12s joining in a few weeks' time, which is great. But then from that year 12 experience, that's when you almost need to start thinking about what you want to do after you've finished college. So we've got three main options here, as I talked about, our school and college leaver programs. We've got on the other side of the spectrum, those students that want to go to university. And then in the middle, we have something called our Flying Start degree programs, which are the best of both worlds because you go to university, but you also have paid placements throughout. And you can apply to them in either accountancy, business, or technology. So I am just going to use this opportunity to talk about these kind of areas in a little bit more detail. First of all, I'm going to talk about our school and college leaver roles. Now, our school and college leaver roles, you can apply to once you've finished college, so once you've done your A levels or any other equivalent qualifications, in one of the different lines of service that you can see here. Now, the apprenticeship is 2 to 4 years long, and you get a full-time salary from day one with funded qualifications. So you will have some day release to do your qualifications, but you are a full-time employee. You'll be thrown in at the deep end with real work and responsibility. And it means that you're building your network straight away. So you will be 3 years ahead of a graduate when they join, and building your networks already. So a positive around this is that you're really kickstarting your career, learning about the business, building your networks both internally and externally, and you won't have any client debt either. And if you do want to apply, you can do so through our PWC website. We don't have any roles available to start this September, but our roles for September 2022 will open this September. So now I just wanted to touch on our three Flying Start programs, the first one being our Flying Start accounting program. So if anyone's interested in becoming an accountant, you should think about the Flying Start accounting programs, where you would study for an accountancy, business and finance degrees. And you can apply via UCAS to one of these 5 universities here. So Manchester, Newcastle, Nottingham, Reading, and we've just introduced Queen Mary's in London to our suite of Flying Start programs as well. So the program is 4 years in length, and in that time you do 3 paid work experience with us, and they are actually within term time as well, so you get your summers completely to yourself. And a great thing about this program is that you actually complete 12 of the 15 ACA exams while you're at university, meaning you only have 3 more exams to complete once you've graduated before you are a fully qualified accountant. Now, the entry requirements are around 3 A's to 2 A's and a B, but we do also look at equivalents and can have a look at different situations that people have as well. But if you are interested in becoming an accountant, this is definitely a program for you. It's the best of both worlds. You get to go to university and have integrated placements with PWC. And I'm not going to touch on this in much detail, but that just summarises it in a little bit more of a visual form. So first year of university, completely, you can live in student halls and go to university full time, but you'd also do a placement then in your second and your third and your fourth year. One thing about this program is that you do pay for your fees, but we would pay for your CIPD, we would pay for you while you were on placement as well. Now, just moving on to our Flying Start technology degree. So if any of you have just been listening to Mohammed and are interested in technology, you may want to think about the Flying Start technology degree. Now, we've partnered up again with 3 universities currently, which is Leeds, Birmingham and Queen's Belfast, where you would study towards a computer science or a software engineering degree. Now, with this program, it is again 4 years, and you would do 3 integrated placements with PWC. But a fantastic thing about this program is because it is a technology degree apprenticeship, PWC actually pay for your fees, and we actually give you a salary from day one for every month, even when you're at university, because you're a full-time employee. Now, the entry requirements roughly are 3 A's to 3 B's, depending on the university. So I did just want to move on to the next slide, just because it shows down what the breakdown looks like against the 4 years. But it really is quite different to some apprenticeships, because you're not just on day release. You literally have chunks of being at university and chunks of being at PWC as well, which means it's quite easy to juggle the 2 different types of work that you'll be doing as well. And I just wanted to very quickly touch on our Flying Start business management program as well, which is where you can get a degree in customer operations with the University of Ulster. And this is a little bit different because you are on day release this time, so you work 4 days a week with 1 day at university. But again, like the technology degree apprenticeship, we pay for your tuition fees and you get a salary of £19,500 per year as well. You receive full PWC inductions and have, again, that kind of mixture of both work and university experience, just a different type of experience to the other 2 programs. And finally, if you think, no, I'm really set on going to university, there's lots of different programs that you can apply to when you're at university as well. We have 3-day programs in our Women in Business and Black Talent in Business programs. We have summer internships for students in their penultimate year. We have sandwich year courses that you would complete in your 3rd year of a 4-year program. And then if you want to go to university and complete all 3 years, you can then join us as a graduate as well. So lots of different opportunities to join PWC. So that's it. Hopefully I've been able to zoom through that. I've been quite conscious of time, but there are lots more information you can find on the PWC website, which is on this slide now. And you can also follow us on lots of social media as well. But thank you, everyone, and thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Naomi. That was really, really interesting to see. There's so many options in an organisation like PWC for young people. Paid study routes, still going to university, and obviously those courses that are there to support diversity inclusion as well. So lots and lots of things to explore. And for the teachers that are watching us with their students, we have posted into the comments, if you want to grab that out before the end of the session, the link to the PWC sort of school and college leavers page, which will obviously link to a lot of the stuff that Naomi kindly shared with us today. Absolutely amazing. We have got a few questions coming in that we're going to post to speakers afterwards. Obviously, if you're available to stick around for a bit, that would be amazing. But we also appreciate you have a day job to think about as well, and you've probably stacked up a fair amount of emails at the very least in this time. So thank you for your time so far, and lots of really great information. So students watching, so yourself, get those links in, make them, bookmark them, put them in a keep note, whatever you do to keep a hold of those things when you need them. And then for teachers watching with your students, in the workbooks, PWC, the careers page, make a note of that so you can come back and find that when you need to. Amazing. Thank you, Naomi. We'll see you hopefully in a moment. Okay, so we have one more speaker to speak to you, and that is going to be Charlotte. So I'll just bring in Charlotte now. Hi there, Charlotte. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, really good. I'm learning a lot, and I think, both myself and Marika are thinking about various career changes already.
Yeah, no, I do that a lot when I deliver these presentations, hearing about apprenticeships, because they've changed so much.
Yeah, so we're going to pass over to you so you can talk about Investment 2020. And what I'll do is I'll just bring your slides on and then pass over to you and just give me a nudge when you want me to move on.
Lovely, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charlotte and I work for Investment 2020. A little bit about myself before I tell you a little bit more about us. I left school nearly 10 years ago. I went on to college and studied musical theatre. Absolutely loved that career choice, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go and perform on stage and go around the world touring with different companies. But unfortunately, in my final year, I was out auditioning and I gained an injury. With this injury, I was told that I had two options. One was to carry on down the musical theatre path, and I would have to go for operations every 3 to 6 weeks. I'd then also actually have to go and put my body under a lot of strain. So I was offered that option, and I was also offered the option of going and getting a completely different career path where I was still enjoying it, but I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So I obviously chose the second path and joined Investment 2020 as a trainee. So apprenticeships when I was younger, they weren't actually as broad as they are now. The only apprenticeships I could do was in construction, and I'll be completely honest with you, that wasn't for me. So if you're considering a career in business, or you're unsure of what you might do after sixth form or college, but you enjoy working in teams, have an interest in what's happening around the world, and see yourself working in a professional environment, then investment management might be for you. So if we can move on to the next slide, what is investment management? Now, the investment management industry manages trillions of pounds of people's money to enable them to achieve their long-term financial goals. Financial goals could be small, like saving for the next iPhone, or it can be large, like saving for a house deposit. Investment managers look after people's money and aim to grow its value through investing it carefully into companies and projects globally, and aim to provide a return on their initial investment. So along with providing clients with financial returns, the sector addresses important issues for society through the investment choices that they make. So if we move on to the next slide, you'll see a few images, and we're going to have a look at the pictures of the plastic bottle in the ocean and the electric car. So the investment management industry, our managers can choose to invest in companies that have made a commitment to reducing carbon emissions by switching to electric vehicles and using cloud-based computing. They may choose to invest in manufacturers that have committed to move away from production of single-use plastic. And by investing in firms that operate in this way or produce a product that reduces impact on the environment, the sector is helping to drive forward change. We're now going to look at homelessness and COVID-19. So these pictures represent society. So investment management firms help healthcare organisations grow their funds to pay for resources needed to find cures for diseases, but also help with the technology in helping with medical conditions as well. And one investment management firm has a social housing fund, which is dedicated to investing in high quality properties for vulnerable adults. So that's just a great way of how some of our firms help with society and their communities. And the final pictures are representing the work-life balance. So we're working with the male-female split, but also trying to get more females into the investment management industry and also into management. So if we can move on to the next slides. At Investment 2020, we work with over 50 different investment management firms. So please take a moment to have a look at this slide. There might be some that you recognise, there might be some that you think, I've never heard of them before, and that's absolutely fine. Make a note of any firms that you're interested in or you want to find out a little bit more about, and do some research. Find out what opportunities that they have for you. Investment management firms range in size from big global organisations such as Schroders and Janus Henderson to more specialised companies such as Redington. These firms focus on investment management as their main business. Aviva might be a familiar name to you. You may have seen their adverts for car and house insurance, but we work with the investment management side of the business called Aviva Investors. Quite a few insurance firms have an investment management part of the business, and another firm like this is Legal and General. So they have the Legal and General side as their insurer, and Legal and General Investment Management for their investment management side. And likewise, some banks have an investment management part of the business too. So JP Morgan Chase have JP Morgan Asset Management, and Santander have Santander Asset Management. Another type of employer in investment management are fintech. So these are financial services technology firms who enable developing cutting-edge technology for financial services firms to operate in the ways that they can. So 9fin is just one example of one of these firms. So our employers recruit those leaving education onto our trainee and apprenticeship program in a range of different roles. So we're going to have a look at the different career opportunities that you can have. So if we can move on to the next slide. So investment management, there are lots of different career pathways. I'm not going to run through them all because I know that we're going to run out of time. So roles, we've broken down into 3 different categories. So we've got funds. These are a range of jobs related to management and processing of investment funds. These include research and analytical roles, those that monitor the performance of funds, and roles that ensure trades are processed accurately. We've got company. So company roles keep the whole organisation operating. We have HR, so they're making sure that there are great recruitment and development opportunities so that the workforce is the best that they can be. We've got sales and marketing teams who run global marketing campaigns and gain new clients. And every organisation needs to be financially successful. So there are significant career opportunities in finance and accounting too. And finally, we've got systems and data. So from specialist systems for trading to the tech infrastructure that enables people to work globally, technology definitely underpins the sector. Cybersecurity is a growing area of work, and great data allows good business decisions to be made. So there are lots of different opportunities for everyone. What's really important is the ability to work in a team, be enthusiastic, and have a can-do attitude. So on our next slide, we're going to now look at the way you can navigate your way into a career in the sector. So throughout my presentation, you would have seen that we've worked with lots of different firms who take on a wide variety of students in lots of different roles. So perhaps this could be your next step. The Investment 2020 programme is designed to give people a foot in the door to the sector. There are a mixture of trainee positions and apprenticeship opportunities. The trainee positions are 12 months long, and apprenticeships can be up to 24 months. So it depends on what firm you're with and what role you're going to be doing as well. But no matter which pathway you take, the experience is the same. You get training to do on your role, and some employers will offer an industry qualification alongside. And you'll also gain additional development opportunities through us Investment 2020. And of course you get paid. So starting salaries are between £21,000 and £25,000 for your starting role. So that's for your first year. Once you've moved on from the traineeship or apprenticeship, your salary will then increase with the knowledge and experience that you have gained. So could you be part of the next Investment 2020 programme? On our next slide, you can register on our website. It is free. All you need is your name, email address, and what school you go to, and we will send you all of our vacancy updates and all of our career insight events. So all of our firms will definitely be holding insight events, whether they're virtual or in person, we'll find out soon next year. So that's a really good chance for you to get to know the industry a little bit better. And we've also got social media. So you can follow us on Instagram. We have live Q&As every month with different people and experts from the industry, but we also have day in the lives with our trainees and apprentices. So you have the opportunity to find out what their day-to-day role is, but also ask them questions about how they found the recruitment processes, how they found starting a career in lockdown. And it's a really good way of you getting an insight into a career in investment management. But that is it for me. I'm sure in the chat function we'll be able to put the links for our website and social media handles. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you so much for sharing. And yes, we'll be putting those links in there so people can find out more. But for the students without a device in front of them who are watching maybe through the classroom screen, then make a note of Investment 2020. You can search that up, look at the social media accounts, and obviously register for opportunities to get into that wide world of investment that Charlotte was talking about. So really interesting options. And Charlotte, are you okay for time to stick around for a quick Q&A session?
Yeah.
Awesome. In which case then what I'll do is I'm going to bring back in Mohan and Dexter, and we'll see if our other speakers are ready. A few of our speakers had to head out. Because they have jobs, just like the rest of us. So that's absolutely normal. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We've got a few quick questions I want to sort of fire your way. I think the first one is probably worth maybe Dexter and Mohan talking about, because I think I know what your answers will be, and I think you represent it, both sides of the answer, which is this question here. Is it better to be an apprentice at a large company or look for a small company? Now, obviously, Mohan's at Google, which probably comes under large company. Dexter, you talked about small companies. So I don't know if you want to sort of give both your perspectives on that. And I feel like there isn't a one simple answer for this.
Yeah, sure. I'll start on this one. So I actually done a podcast recently on this called Does Size Matter? All about the size of employers and just kind of learning about what you can gain from a large employer and a small employer. Mohan can tell you a little bit about a large employer, but what I've found from working for a small employer is that you get to talk to everyone in the company a lot more. So you get to learn about a lot of the different departments as well. So I work very closely with the other teams in the company, as well as people at the top of the company, like the chief executive. I also get a lot more say on things that happen in the organisation. So working in a team of 2 marketers, I get to work on all the really large projects. So basically every project that goes on within marketing, I can do. The only thing I do say about some small employers is that you're obviously limited to the amount of people in the company, how much knowledge you can gain. So Mohan, there's probably not anything that he cannot learn from someone at Google. So you can basically go to someone in Google. You just have to find out where they are. Because it's such a big company. But yeah, I'll pass over to Mohan to tell you a little bit about his experience.
No, most certainly. Yeah, at Google, there's the limits of what you can learn is just endless. And as much as there's that transparency between teams, as if you're in a smaller company, at Google, there's so many employees. So I don't think there'll be a time where you would meet every single employee, because there's like 100,000 different employees. Yeah, with Google, there's definitely, I would say, I think it depends on the company, but with Google specifically, I'll say there can be a lot more learning opportunities rather than a small company, because of the extent the company branches out to. So including all the products like Google Maps, YouTube, there's so many different departments. But like Dexter mentioned, with Google, the best thing about the apprenticeship with Google is there's full transparency. So I can see who works at what company. I can message and email and just reach out to anyone I want and just learn. And yeah, that's what I have to say for that.
Yeah, I can also testify to that as a friend of mine that works for Google. When Stadia came out, he just searched up on the internal list of contacts, who's the Stadia lead, and just got in touch and get in there nice and early on interesting projects like that. So it sounds like it's up to you. Get a bit of both experience if you can, but there's advantages to both. Obviously, Akeem, Multiverse work with loads and loads of different employers, and I presume that you have small employers, large employers, and everywhere in between. I don't know if you have any feedback from the people that you work with on their preferences.
I think it's pretty much similar to what everyone said. Working for a startup, you are exposed to more responsibility because there's just not enough people to do things. So it's great for experience. But again, for those larger companies, you are acquiring, you're able to kind of tap into knowledge everywhere because there's just so many people. So it's a mix. So definitely try and get both experiences if you can.
And Charlotte, does that sort of echo with Investment 2020 in terms of you've got obviously large and small organisations that you showed earlier?
Yeah, I mean, the smaller the company, obviously there are a lot more responsibilities put onto you. But with our programs, obviously there have been trainees and apprentices going through, so you've always got someone that you can ask questions to, and where you've got people to ask, you can go to any of our companies and ask them. So it's about linking in and connecting with people as well, which is the main part of building your network and your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Networking has come up again and again with our guests about how you get other opportunities, getting into an organisation, getting to know people, and then those other opportunities come up. So it feels like there's lots of options out there, which kind of links to our next question, which is from a Year 10 student saying, I think I want to do an apprenticeship after GCSE. My school doesn't have much guidance, which can be the case sometimes. Where can I look? Now, I'm going to presume one of the answers is Multiverse. The other one is Investment 2020. And obviously, Dexter, you've got a variety of things to look at as well. So I don't know if you want to take it in turns, just as a reminder. But Akeem, first of all, I take it they can go to Multiverse and they can find a lot of information.
Yeah, I would say first thing, we have a sister website called Career Hacker. So that gives you a lot of resources, a lot of blogs, a lot of clips about previous apprentices. We also, one thing I will say outside of Multiverse is just going on the Gov website, researching jobs there. Just typing in, going on YouTube as well. There's tons of YouTubers who have done like Dexter's partner in Fast Future, your Future Forward. Molly, she's got a really great YouTube channel on kind of the experience of an apprentice. The application process. So I would say just do tons of research.
That's good. And I've put Career Hacker into the comments if any students or teachers want to grab that and have a look at that. And equally, any of the speakers, if you want to put some really useful links into the private chat, I'll try and transfer them all over so everyone gets those. For the students, obviously sort of watching this in a less digital way, make a note in your workbook of the search terms. So Career Hacker was what I put into Google. And I got their website, and obviously Your Future Forward is Dexter's podcast. So lots of other ones as well. Anyone want to add any other places to go that maybe we haven't mentioned yet, or any tips on that as we go?
I think the one thing I would add is that there's so many, obviously YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagrammers now, like Akeem mentioned. So obviously if you head over to Your Future Forward, look through who we're following, but also just drop us a message if there's something that you're really interested in. Let us know and we'll be able to find the right person for you or put you in touch with a website or something like that. But yeah, I think that it just offers that insight of what you're actually going to experience on that journey, because there's only so much you can read about. But if you're really looking for what might be the right role for you, just seeing what people do on a day-to-day basis can really help.
I think that's really interesting, actually, when you talk about there's so many people out there, there's YouTube channels, and obviously for the young people watching, TikTok and places like that are where they generally consume. I mean, I'm saying it as a 40-year-old, so I have to be careful not to sound too old, but it's there, and I think that's the big change. As a former teacher, there was a point where I started in my career that it still felt like, the school was this kind of, felt like the fountain of knowledge. And that the shift over the last sort of 20 years has been massive. It's all there. So like you say, Dexter, I think search apprenticeships, see what comes up, look for the right hashtags on the social media platforms that you're on, and you're going to find lots of really interesting information. But I do encourage all of you to reach out to any of our speakers. And I think they're here, so they're willing to share as well. I'm very aware we've gone way over our allotted time, but that's because we've got so many interesting people showing interesting things about apprenticeships. So I'll leave it at that. obviously we can sort of pass on. You can connect with our speakers through websites and social media platforms. So thank you so much. I think it was really insightful to learn more about apprenticeships. I think we've all seen there's maybe a gap in knowledge sometimes. So for the teachers out there, hopefully you've learned a few things that you can take into your conversations with other students. For the students watching, get out there and discover it. There's loads and loads of opportunities in amazingly different companies. And these companies need you. They need your skill set. They need your outlook on life and everything. You are hugely valuable to these companies, and we hope that you have lots of options ahead of you. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it. I'll let you get on with the rest of your days. And thanks again for joining us. Have a great rest of the day. Cheers, everyone. Cool. Right, Marika. We are back about 2:30 for a session where we're looking at CV writing. So Lauren from Google is going to be looking at CVs and giving you tips on how to write a great CV. So join the link to that particular one, which has been sent out to you if you signed up yourself, or if you're a teacher, you'll have the link to this afternoon's 2:30 session to learn all about CV writing. So it'll be a masterclass, going to be hands-on, ask lots of questions. Lauren's going to be looking at CVs to give you advice. But before that, there is a digital skills session on building CVs and cover letters. So particularly if you're a bit older as a student and you're thinking about starting to branch out, get your CV out there, then 2 great sessions this afternoon. So 1:30 for CV and cover letter writing, and then 2:30 for specifically diving in to those CVs and getting some great look at some great advice out of that. Okay, so that's us done for today. Look out for the links, and we'll catch you soon.
Cool. Bye.
Cheers, everyone.